This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get new details about the upcoming Star Wars game being developed by Respawn. Nintendo chimes in on how they feel about E3. A discless Xbox is coming in 2019? Is this possible? Holy cow. And The Last of Us Part 2 allegedly has a release date. All of these stories and a few more in episode 92. I'm your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and as always, welcome to the Analog Circle podcast. Man, I'm wildin'. Anyway, it has been quite some time since I have done the podcast, and my apologies, guys. I've been a bit under the weather. I actually had to visit the hospital, but everything is cooking. Everything is okay. I'll probably talk about that at a later time on a Kiaun Vince or something, but I definitely apologize for my tardiness. Now, for you guys that listened to the last Kiaun Vince, I'll let you guys know that I had messed up on the code from before on the Nintendo. For the Nintendo guys out there, well, as promised, I have a $20 Nintendo, what is this thing called? Hey, it's just $20 for the Nintendo eShop. This is just a small way of me thanking you guys for all of the support, for you guys downloading the shows, listening to the shows. I truly, truly appreciate that so very much. So, without further ado, for you Nintendo guys, here's an early Christmas gift, and the code is as follows. It is, and I'm gonna try to get it right this time. It is B13YSO, as in the letter O, CBOV8G36HO. Once again, and I'm only repeating it because last time I messed up. I don't want any mistakes this time. Once again, it is B13YSOCBOV8G36HO. Let me guys, I'm all messed up. Let me know whichever one of you guys gets this. It would be great to find out. And I must shout out Mr. Mike J, because he was the recipient of the last Nintendo card that I gave out. So shout out to you, brother. I hope you used it on something that you've been wanting for quite some time. So just let me know when you get it, if you redeem it, and you can let me know two different ways. Either you can call into the podcast at 443-216-9934 and leave a voicemail, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. And if you're in the mood to listen to some previously recorded episodes of the podcast, it can be found over on N4G, Audio Mac, SoundCloud, and Stitcher, and Google. There's a couple of places out there, but definitely go over there, check it out, put it in your Googles, and you'll be able to find the show. So, without further ado, guys, I want to get into my favorite part of the podcast, and you guys that have been listening already know what this part of the podcast is, and it is without a shadow of a doubt, 100%, the feedback section. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Mr. Cody Clark, cause he wrote in, God dog it, about my question last week. The question I was asking you guys last week was, what's your choice for game of the year? For me, it was God of War, and holy cow, the game freaking won. I couldn't believe it. Was blown away. But here is Cody Clark and his reply. He says, word. I also have to say I'm not really excited at all about the Game Awards or any of that stuff. It just feels like styrofoam to me. There are tons of amazing games. Sony killed it with quote-unquote Dad of War and Spider-Man. Oh, Dad, Cody. He says, I'm quite jelly because I loved Spider-Man 2 on the OG Xbox and wish I could play it on my X. But stuff like Game of the Year, with studios going after games as a service and stuff like they want games to last longer and systems get updated more frequently. Too much, too fast. Also, watching older games' physical copies shoot up in price as soon as they go backwards compatible irks me. Looking at you, Kingdoms of Amalur. Oh, buddy. But at the same time, I was super duper happy to see that backwards compatibility notice drop. That's my take. I'm bad at taking compliments and not fond of awards. Well, Mr. Cody Clark, as always, my brother, as always, every single week, man, you have not let me down, and I thank you. I thank you very, very much, my man. Now, let's go ahead and just break this down a little bit. Cody Clark said he don't give a goddamn about the game awards or any of that stuff. And Cody, hey, brother, it's okay, man. I dig it, man. But he had a couple of points in here. He said that, Dad of War, which is what everybody was calling God of War, killed it. And I gotta say, as a person that played God of War, oh my gosh, absolutely phenomenal game. As you guys know that have been listening to the podcast for quite some time, The Witcher 3 was my game of the generation. It was the game that I thought you just could not get any better than this. And in this console generation, I gotta say, man, I mean, quite honestly, God of War to me is now my new game of the generation. This game was absolutely outstanding. Now keep in mind, I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, still haven't played it yet, it's still on the shelf. I didn't play Detroit Become Human all the way through, even though I played the demo, and we got some news about Detroit, good news about that game. But so many other games came out this year, a heck of a year for gaming, my gosh, it was absolutely insane. The amount of great games, predominantly, we gotta be honest here, predominantly coming from the Sony camp. Gotta be honest about that. Microsoft, they came out with Forza Horizon 4, and it is a fantastic open world racing game. But in no way, shape, or fashion did Microsoft show up in spades like Sony did this year. Oh my gosh, we can go through so many other games. But man, Cody, I'm getting so wrapped up in your email, brother. Like he said, he's not too fond about these awards, and he doesn't like it when games that are backwards compatible go up in price. I gotta agree with you on that, man. It's always some kind of spike. I mean, Call of Duty saw it when that went back compat. Red Dead Redemption, the first one, saw it when that went back compat. So it is one of those things that I guess we'll have to, see how it plays out as the years go on with this new motto that Microsoft is adopting, having everything be backwards and possibly forwards compatible. We'll have to see about that latter part, next generation. But anyway, Cody, I think I have definitely lingered way too long on your email, brother. Not saying that I don't appreciate it, but man, I can get real long-winded. So I want to thank you again, Cody, for sending in the emails, brother, and hopefully, man, you'll just continue to send those great emails that you do, brother. Thank you so very much for that. Really appreciate it, man. You are the heartbeat, brother. Listen to this, man. The heartbeat, brother. Keep on doing your thing, baby. Now, I've been on a hiatus. Good grief. Let me, kind of push my seat up a little bit. Get a little comfortable. Okay. Now, these last 2 weeks, I haven't, really been doing too much. So, it's not really a lot that I've been into. I can say that, I have, been trying to finish up Tomb Raider. I've definitely been working on that, and that game is absolutely remarkable. I have been really, really enjoying it. And I gotta say, good grief. Like I said, a couple of notches, 2 or 3 more notches up on there, on Eidos's belt, and they could really be a contender for Uncharted. I mean, they are right there. They just need just a little more work, but the game has been phenomenal. Well, maybe phenomenal is a strong word. I'll say it has been a very, very good time, and I've been thoroughly enjoying the game, been enjoying the story. Graphically, it's great. Gameplay is great. Puzzles are cool. It's not many more things I can say about the game. It's a great game. Matter of fact, it's on sale right now on Xbox for, I believe, $30. If you haven't picked it up and you've been thinking about getting it, that would be a great time to dive and jump on in. But outside of that, I haven't been into too much more. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, and let's talk about the gaming news that went down, starting off with some Warner Brothers Montreal news. Now, if you're not familiar with their work, they were the team behind Arkham Origins, which I heard was a solid offering, just not quite as polished as Rocksteady's games. Well, since that project, nothing has been said about what their next project would be. Well, we have just received some eye-raising info via Twitter, where the producer took a pic of the back of her shirt that appears to be a logo for the Court of Owls. Now, if you're not familiar with this organization, it's an organized crime group and secret society that exists inside of the Batman comics. Now, once again, take this with a mustard seed of truth until it is officially confirmed. Now, it's also being said that this title may release next year because one of the developers that works at the studio has on his LinkedIn profile that he has a project coming out in 2019. Guys, I gotta say, I'm not familiar with this Court of Owls, man. This is all brand new news to me. I can't sit up here and say, oh man, this is groundbreaking Batman news, man. I've been waiting for this my whole life. I can't say that, man, in good conscience. I have no idea. But I will say that the concept sounds very interesting. I know a lot of us have been very interested in another Batman game, more so from Rocksteady, but we do know that they're working on another project, which may be Justice League. We know for one thing for sure, that it's not a Superman game, and we also know that it's alleged that it is going to be something in the DC universe. So, we'll have to see what happens. But outside of that, like I had mentioned a little earlier with, Arkham Origins, the game may not have, wow, it's raining hard as a mother right now at home. Listen to that. Good grief, that's the doggone rain here in Baltimore. But getting back on track, it wasn't the best game. I heard it was solid, just not as good. But with time and with acquiring different developers and, getting better talent on the team, who knows? This just may rival the Arkham a series that was by Rocksteady. We'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully something good will come of this. I mean, let me know if you guys are interested in this. I am. I'm actually very interested. The Arkham series was fantastic, and like I say over and over again, like a broken record, I thought the last one, Arkham Knight, was absolutely phenomenal. I thought that game was fantastic. The best superhero game I've played ever. Now, I don't know. I got Spider-Man sitting upstairs right now on the PS4. A lot of people are pumped up about that, saying that's the best superhero game ever made. From what I played, it was a lot of fun so far. But I haven't finished it, and I haven't gone back to it since September. So we'll have to see. But anyway, moving on. Let me just skip all of that. But moving on into some Respawn news. Now, we all know that one of the games that they are working on is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But information has been pretty close to the chest. Oh gosh, until a user who goes by the name of, the username XYZSVTABC Tabica. I don't know how you pronounce that, man. What the heck? Anyway, he obtained some info during a Star Wars marketing presentation by Disney. So here are the details that he was able to come up with. He says the game is allegedly going to take place 5 years after Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where players will take control of a former Jedi Padawan who has survived the initial purge of the Order. Now, the main protagonist, who is referred to as Cal, C-A-L, Cal, isn't completely alone and relies on a mentor-like figure named Saris. Oh man, that sounds deep. Saris. Now, it was also said that we should expect to see a lot of cameos from Star Wars comic characters and Star Wars Rebels. It was also said the game is scheduled to release in November 2019. Now, as I say, guys, until this stuff is confirmed by a more reliable source, someone that, I'm not saying this guy is not credible, but I'm saying we haven't heard anything from Respawn or, any of those guys over there. So as always, take this with a mustard seed of truth. But I must say that if this is what the game's premise is going to be, very, very interesting. I gotta say, having these cameos from not only guys that are, Star Wars Rebels, but cats that were in the comic books, comic book characters. I mean, absolutely amazing this would be. Now, I'm not huge into the Star Wars lore, but I have played my fair share of Star Wars games, let me tell you, buddy. I've played, what was it, the two that came out on the 360, Force Unleashed. Man, Force Unleashed was dope as ever. The second one, it was a little short, but that first one, man, some of those physics where you would actually hold them up like a rag doll, all those games were freaking awesome. Loved them. But anyway, I don't want to start going off topic. Let me move on to the next story. But this is interesting. But let's go ahead and get into some PC situations that are going on. Oh, you PC guys. Now, if you're a PC gamer, and you're looking forward to Bethesda's Rage 2, which I am. I'm really looking forward to that. But you PC guys, you may be waiting a while. Especially if you're loyal to Steam. Because it looks like the game won't be launching on the service, just like Fallout 76 never made its way over. Now instead, the game will launch on Bethesda's service first before it goes over to Valve. Let's see. Now, hold on. Now, yeah. Now, if you go to Green Man Gaming, this is something else right here. If you go to Green Man Gaming or Fanatical, you have warnings that the keys you get through them won't work on Steam either, and neither will the retail releases. Now I have to, man, good grief, man. Let me just loosen up my collar here for a second. Good gosh. It seems like it's a full-on attack right now. It seems like, we got Epic. They're doing things. They're starting their own service. They're, actually going up against Valve. They're making it cheaper for developers to put their stuff on their servers versus going over to Valve. Good grief. Now you got Bethesda. They're drawing a line in the sand saying, hey, we're not going to put our games over there on your service. If you PC guys want to get it, you got to cop it from us, and don't try to go to a third party because those keys won't work. And even if you go to the retail store, you're still not going to get a workable copy of Rage 2. We're putting a line in the sand. This is very interesting because for years, now keep in mind, I'm not a PC gamer. That's just not my thing. Too much of a headache. Call that headache gaming over on the PC for me. But, no disrespect to the guys that do it and love it. But man, this really shows that for the first time, it looks like the juggernaut, Valve, is actually being challenged by a few pretty big players. These are some heavy boots, in the game right now. Good grief. Bethesda is not one of these small fries. Epic is not a small fry. So I'm very interested to see how this whole situation is gonna come out. But nonetheless, man, for you PC guys, Rage 2 ain't gonna be there, baby. It's not gonna be on Valve, man. You gotta go get it from the Kinect itself, man. Go see Bethesda and get that worked out, man. God, dog, I tell you. PC, man, I know y'all got the power crown. Y'all got a million frames per second. Y'all got native 4K 1018 and whatnot power on your system. But man, it's just hiccups to me in PC gaming. Sometimes y'all gotta wait for the games. Then you got driver issues. Then you got situations like this where Valve, certain people are boxing them out. So if you are a faithful Valve supporter, then man, that's not looking too good for you. God dog, I don't know. I would love to hear from some PC guys and shed some light for me. Let me know what this situation is. Is it as big as I think it is, or am I making a mountain out of a molehill? I would love to know. But moving on to the next story. Now let's get into some interesting Nintendo news. And let's find out how Nintendo, the big N, feels about E3. Now here is Reggie Fils-Aimé's quote. Here it is. I quote the man. He says, E3, those 5 days is the opportunity for the world to find out what's new for video games and entertainment. And during that time, we generate more engagement than whether it's CES or Comic-Con or other big entertainment events. People tune in to find out what's new and to have first playable experiences for our industry. That's why E3 is important to Nintendo. End of quote. Now, Reggie did continue on and said, and I quote, this makes no sense how I wrote this, but he says, it's a very effective opportunity to deliver our message, and therefore it's a bit of a no-brainer for us to participate. Now everything wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, because in the article, he did say that, the E3, the guys over there, they need to continue to innovate and continue to be that leading opportunity to drive consumer engagement. So as it stands for Nintendo, they're saying, versus so many other people that have said E3 is dead. It's not as important as it used to be. You can do this, do these, man, I'm getting all tongue tied. God dog. You can do these different announcements over Twitter. It'll have the same effect. You'll get the message out there. All of that could be true, but nonetheless, as Reggie Fils-Aimé said, he says that they generate more engagement over CES, Comic-Con, and other big entertainment events. Everybody's tuning in, and for them, it's a no-brainer. So it looks like even though Nintendo isn't there in full capacity, meaning that we already know they don't do the presser that Sony does. Well, Sony won't be doing one next year, but that Microsoft does, and, well, Sony from this past year. You know, they haven't done that in a while, but they do have their treehouse, and they are there. I mean, one year I think they only showed off Mario Odyssey. One other year, I believe it was Link. So even though they're not doing all of the bells and whistles, they still are showing a presence at E3. And it looks like for the foreseeable future, as long as it can drive engagement and people are there and they can get their word out to the masses, they will be attending. So this is great to know. At least we know that Sony and Microsoft will be there in 2019. But man, once again, it sure does hurt to know that Sony won't be there. But anyway, no need of crying over spilled milk. Let's move on. I mean, hey, speaking of the devil, let's get into some Sony PlayStation 4 news. Now, this is absolutely amazing because PlayStation 4 continues to break records, and this time it dethrones a last-gen system, which is the PS3. It dethroned itself. Now, as of now, the PlayStation 4 has sold 88.5 million units, breaking the PlayStation 3's lifetime sales, which totaled 86.90 million. Hold on. No. Wait a minute. I might be wrong on that. Oh, nope. That is it. 86.90 million. Sorry, it was the way I wrote it. That is absolutely amazing. Because you think that the PlayStation 3, that generation started, I think it was a year after Xbox 360, because the 360, that launched back in 2005, and the PlayStation 3 launched in 2006, and that generation wasn't over officially until 2013, when the new systems came out. So my goodness. I mean, and what took 7 years to get to that number, the PlayStation 4 has totally obliterated it in 5. 2 less years. This is absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, I truly believe that the PlayStation 4, and I mentioned it, this was quite a while ago, many episodes ago. I said, I think the PlayStation 4 will break the PlayStation 2's record. I know that is a tall order to fulfill, but when you think about the games that are still coming out, when you think about games like Ghost of Tsushima, you got games, what's the not Metal Gear, but Hideo Kojima's new game. I can't remember it at the moment, and I'm not even going to try. FedEx delivery, simulator. Yeah, that joint right there. You got that coming out, and then you got The Last of Us 2 coming out, also with smaller titles like Days Gone that will be releasing. I mean, they still got a lot of fuel in the tank to reach that 100 million plus mark. And with them being at 88.5 million, they're almost at 90. And the holidays aren't even over yet. So I'm telling you, man, you think The Last of Us 2 isn't going to move like 2 or 3 million units when that comes out? I mean, good grief. It's so much potential there. I truly think that even if they don't break the PlayStation 2's record, they're going to come so close to doing so. But I'm going on record. They're going to break that PS2 record. I can see it happening. They have the software. They have the momentum. Everything is in their corner for them to be able to do it. And with the new IPs that they've brought out this generation, it's just been amazing. So congratulations to Sony. You guys are on freaking fire, man. I mean, you guys are doing absolutely amazing. And good grief. My hat just goes off to you, mother lovers. Moving on to the next situation at hand. Now, CEO of Epic, Tim Sweeney. Oh, good old Timothy. I don't even know if that's that man's name, but Tim Sweeney is breaking hearts this week because he said that, and I quote, Unreal Tournament remains available in the store but isn't actively being developed. We've recently worked with GOG on making classic Epic Games titles available, and we're planning to bring more of them to the store in their original glory. End of quote. So we see here that, you guys that have been looking forward to Unreal Tournament making a triumphant comeback, it is unfortunately not going to happen. This is sad. I mean, I'm sure this is very sad news for you guys that have been looking forward to Unreal Tournament. I never really got into Unreal Tournament. It was more of a PC game. And by the time that came out on PC, I was definitely way knee deep, probably was elbow deep into console gaming by that point. But nonetheless, it's not gonna happen. Such sad goddamn news. But moving on, good grief, into some DMC5 news. Oh, I forgot to let you guys know I played that demo. I did play DMC5. The demo was a lot of fun. It looked great. Looks like a game that I will probably give a shot. I might just buy that game. Game was pretty darn dope. But, in DMC5 news, it has been confirmed that the game will be co-op. Now, the way this will work is at certain points, the story, Nero, Dante, and V will cross paths. Single player campaign will be told through the eyes of these three protagonists. Now, if you play DMC5 online, when another character runs into whomever you're controlling, you'll be meeting another player. Now, in some cases, this might just be seeing a player controlled character run by in the background of the level. In some cases, though, you and another player will be fighting side by side in the same battle. But this will only happen in instances where it makes sense based on what's happening in the story. But don't feel like Capcom is forcing co-op on you to game. Let me stop. I'm just freaking up. Look, listen, man, don't think that just trying to force this on you, because the game is still a single player experience. So if you opt to play offline, the game will use quote unquote ghost data, gameplay recordings of the development team instead, end of quote. But if you do choose the online mode and there are no players on the server to connect to, you won't encounter any long load screens or downtime, because once again, the game will use the quote unquote game data gameplay. End of quote. So I think this is fantastic news, and excuse me for butchering this part, because I definitely did. I definitely did this some bad harm. My bad, man. The way I'm writing this stuff down, it's like I think I'm falling asleep and jotting it down all over the page. But I do think this is great. I love the fact that the co-op experience won't be forced upon you, but you'll be able to use the ghost data gameplay from another from developers on the team instead of having to wait for somebody to come in. But then again, they even said that you won't even have to wait long. The load screens won't take forever if nobody's on the server, because once again, they'll be using that ghost data stuff. But nonetheless, this is a really cool, I think it's a nice touch. Nothing over the top, nothing that you got to commit to where you're going through the whole entire campaign with someone else. But at certain times and points, you'll actually jump in and jump out. I think this is a really, really cool mode that could work. This is something even I would be willing to jump on and play. Because, you're fighting side by side and, you guys are on the same page and you guys are fighting for the same thing. I think this is really dope. I can't wait until DMC5 actually releases and to see how this is going to work in all of its glory. So we will see very, very soon, because I believe that game is coming out in March. Is it March 15th? I don't know. Next year is so stacked. Oh, jeez, big Christmas. Anyway, moving on. Goodness gracious. To the next story. Let me see. What do I have here? Oh, in case you guys didn't know, just a really quick news story. The Xbox One X is being sold at a discounted price of $400, I believe, until when? Oh, shucks, that might be over with. I don't know. Let me retract that. Anyway, moving on. Holy smoke. Now, in Detroit Become Human news, it looks like the game was a success, and this makes my heart glee with happiness. Now, according to the PlayStation Twitter account, they had this to say. Oh, I'm doing so terrible, man. They had this to say, and I quote, "We are thrilled to share that Detroit Become Human has sold through more than 2 million units worldwide on PlayStation 4 since its launch on May 25th, 2018. Congratulations at Quantic Dream." Now, just to give this more, just a little bit more perspective of, that was the end of the quote. But just to give this a little more perspective, Heavy Rain took 3 years to move 3 million units, whereas it has taken Detroit less than 7 months to move 2 million units. That is a huge bump in sale. I don't even think that's a bump. That's more of a push. That's just a huge push up and sales for this type of game. And I know a lot of people who don't like the David Cage-esque type games. I was such a huge fan of Heavy Rain. Not even Heavy Rain. The first game I remember from David Cage, it was on like the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, the original Xbox era, where Indigo Prophecy, that was the name of it. That game was absolutely, it was something I'd never seen before, where it was showing the different camera angles, where it was showing the cop coming into the bathroom, because I just played the demo of it. I never got around to buying the full game, but I was like, God, dog, this is really different. It was just some different kind of storytelling, and it was something I'd never seen before. So when Heavy Rain was on the scene on the PlayStation 3, that was one of the few games that I played like 3 times to get the different endings. And man, I can't even say contrary to, belief. The endings were definitely different. I remember years ago when they used to say, oh man, 5 different endings. It would be so minuscule. The ending, you'd be like, man, that was darn near the same thing I saw anyway. But with Heavy Rain, that game really had different endings where no ending was the same. So Heavy Rain was amazing. I skipped out on Beyond Two Souls, but Detroit Become Human, that is definitely on my scope, and I'm going to have to snipe it and get that joint. And I'm just so glad to see that a game like this in 2018 Ooh, we gotta give Quantic Dream a lot of props. They were up for Game of the Year. The game actually was considered for Game of the Year this year. So, I mean, the game, oh gosh, just a great game. I'm not gonna gush over this game too much, but I'm just glad that it's done well enough where I'm sure they're gonna make sure that David Cage can work on his next game, probably coming to the PS5 at a later date. But, let's move on from this news. Dang, congratulations, Detroit. This is awesome. Well, I should say, what's their name again? Quantic Dream. Anyway, if you're a Suda51 fan, then beginning December 20th, which is the same day I'm recording this, god darn, they will be showing off the latest look at a No More Heroes presentation. Now, it will allegedly be 2 hours long, and it will come on at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, god dog, man, what time am I recording this, man? It's 1:23 in the morning when I'm getting around to recording this podcast. So I'm talking less than 5 hours from now. This will be coming online, and I guess you just type in Suda51 on YouTube or something like that, and I'm sure you'll get it. But, moving on to the next story. I never really got into any of the No More Heroes games. The guy had a sword. It looked like he was, I don't even know how to say it on here without sounding like, real dirty. But, he used to take the sword and he made a motion like he was, playing with a super soaker, and y'all know the motion that you had to do with the super soaker probably back in the day. But, it just wasn't my type of games. I mean, the art style looked cool, but I know that a lot of people love this guy. So without further ado, 5 a.m., tune in and see what you can see. Now, moving on into some weird news. I mean, this is like really weird. It looks like Kanye West, man, this brother he used to be my hero, but, he is looking for Hideo Kojima. He took to Twitter and said, and I quote, "Heard Hideo Kojima is in New York. We need to meet. Does anyone know where he is or how to contact him?" End of quote. Now, he even went as far as to tweet at Kojima's official saying, and I quote again, "Let's please meet today. I'm in New York as well." End of quote. Now, while nothing came back from Kojima himself, Jeff Keighley actually reached out to Kanye West over social media and said, and I quote, "I gotcha." So, I don't know if Kanye West is trying to team up with Kojima to do the music. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kanye, his music is still lit to death. I love Kanye's music. I mean, man, Kanye is he's just going through some things right now, but that was my guy back in the day. I still love his music. I think he's still an amazing artist, but, just shifting away from that. It is very interesting because at one point, Kanye West was actually working on a game which debuted in 2016, and it was supposed to be an iPhone game, that was in development, going all the way back to 2015. I believe the name of the game was, Only One, where it was supposed to feature his mother trying to make her way up to heaven. And I think I talked about this. I don't know if I did or not. I mean, I do so many of these. I don't know. But, I think I was saying that the art style, it looked like, man, I forgot the name of the game. God dog. It was back on the 360. It was a shade kind of art style. It was El Shaddai type of, art style, which looked, oh man, that game was amazing. But, I don't know if Kanye West is trying to get Kojima on to help him finish up this game, or if he wants to participate in Death Stranding, maybe do the soundtrack. Who knows what the world's gonna happen with this, but it was just some interesting and yet weird news because Kanye is, I mean, good grief, just the nerve of Kanye, man. I mean, this guy is something else just to say basically, look, I'm here too. Drop whatever you doing. It ain't important. You need to come have lunch with me and we need to talk. I don't care about your 50 different meetings. I don't care who you got to see. All you need to do is come see me. Come see me, bruh. And we gonna sit down and we gonna chop it up. I mean, god darn, yay. Man, that brother don't never change with that though, man. That's one thing I respect about Ye. That brother is arrogant to the core, man. Good gosh. It's terrible, but for some reason, I don't know. Ye just, I don't know, man. Anyway, moving on. God darn. Now, quick news story. I always say quick news. Holy jeez. I'm trying to speed this up, man. Let's see. Now, if you're looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3, there are some copies that were sold and are out in the wild. So if you don't want any spoilers, I suggest you move a little cautiously. I'm gonna tell you, man, people are bold, brother. I mean, good gosh. Internet makes everybody a gangster because this guy actually was selling copies of Kingdom Hearts via Twitter, and he was like $100. Meet me at such and such a place. Like, what? Man, oh man, you breaking the street date, brother. What's going on? But nonetheless, man, like I said, once again, if you don't want any spoilers, definitely just move a little cautious until the game comes out. I believe it's January 29th of next year. So it's almost here. But, moving on into the next story. Now, in more Microsoft news, is being reported by Therot. Hopefully I said his name right. Therot. That there will be a discless Xbox One releasing by the spring 2019. Now, it's being said that we could hear something about this as soon as January. Now, as far as your physical games go, they are going to make it so you can get the digital licenses from participating stores. Now, they are saying that the next gen Xbox, oh man, this is something completely different, but it's going to have two different SKUs. It's going to have an expensive version and a cheaper version, one being more powerful than the other. I believe one of them is called Anaconda. Some kind of snake reference. And I forgot what the other one is being called. I think it's being called, Bob Backlund. I don't know, brother. I have no idea, but, the Anaconda was definitely real, as far as the code names for it. So this discless Xbox that's coming down the pike allegedly in spring 2019, this is very, very interesting because they're saying that this system could sell for, and this is all speculation, so once again, take it with a mustard seed of truth, but they're saying that this console could retail for $100, and, you know, being able to have all of your games be, I guess, all of your physical games, being able to have them brought over digitally because of the licensing. I mean, I think that's good for people that want to do that. But I also think that, you know, the price point being cheaper is one big advantage, and it could make a lot of people want to invest in the brand if they can get it at that 110, 120-ish kind of mark. But I also think that Microsoft, if this is true, that they are basically gauging how much people are invested in digital versus the physical. And I wouldn't doubt that if this does do well enough, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it is a real stretch of the imagination, but I wouldn't put it above Microsoft to try and do this with the next generation console. Maybe come out with a discless one, because as we know, they're saying that they're gonna have the cheaper version and they're gonna have a more powerful version. Now, I do not think that Microsoft would ever just put you in the box of if you get the cheaper one, then you don't get physical discs. I don't think they're going to do that. But what I do think is Microsoft does feel that it could be a market of people out there that just want to collect digital games. So I think that they're going to try to hit both sides of the market, which is interesting. I mean, that would mean that it would be, I guess, maybe like 3 different SKUs. Well, no, it would be 2. Because this wouldn't be considered a next generation console. But, we'll see how it happens, what happens and how this whole situation will play out in the long run. But nonetheless, just thinking about these 2 different SKUs, with Microsoft selling a less powerful console versus a more powerful. I mean, I've heard numbers talking about that the more powerful console is going to be $700. And once again, this is all speculation. Nobody knows for sure what the price point is going to be, because I remember that people were thinking that the Xbox One X was going to be a $600 to $700 console when they got it to $500. So when Microsoft did say, or I believe it was Phil Spencer that said that they will never lose the power crown again, I have to believe that if these reports once again are true, which the Anaconda thing, I think that is actually official. But I have to believe that they really do mean that, and they're taking that to heart. So we will definitely see what happens with these news stories in the very, very near future. Oh my gosh. Moving on to the next story. Well, it has finally become official after almost 2 years of rumors, and Microsoft finally confirming it at this year, what was it? E3, I believe. I don't know. But Microsoft partnered with Razer to launch a mouse and keyboard for the Xbox platform. Now, the good thing is that both the keyboard and mouse are wireless via a single dongle that connects to the Xbox One via a 2.4 gigahertz connection. It also can last, this is amazing, it can last up to 40 hours on a single charge. Now, as far as the price point goes, it will set you back $250. But if you pre-order it from the Microsoft Store now, it will come with a $25 gift card. $25, I believe, Xbox gift card. Now, on the pre-order page, as far as when it will ship, they're saying that it's going to ship by March 31st, 2019. So now I don't know if they said that at E3 or if they said it at the Xbox, what was it called? The event in Mexico. I don't know. I forget which one they said it at, but they definitely talked about keyboard support, and they were saying that not to worry because the developers are going to make sure that they either make it fully keyboard or, controller. It's going to be up to the developers, but either way, you would never have to worry about playing against a mouse and keyboard player, versus a person that's actually playing on the gamepad. And I gotta say, I was a little against this situation or this peripheral coming to the Xbox One, because I'm like, man, if I want a PC, then I'll buy a PC with the keyboard and mouse. This just doesn't make sense. But in a way, I kind of get where Microsoft is coming from, because this definitely would open up the possibilities of games like Civilization or that new Gears of War strategy game coming out over to the console. So anything that comes out on the PC, they could never use that excuse, well, it's only mouse and keyboard. So I don't think we would ever see that situation where the PC would be getting exclusives that the Xbox wouldn't be. And also outside of that point, it would be interesting to see how a Halo game would control with a mouse and keyboard. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all, what do you call it? It's options at the end of the day. It's not something that you have to get. It's not something that's required, but it is an option for people that want to play with a mouse and keyboard on a console. I don't know why you would want to do it, but it's an option and you can't knock the option. So I think this is great for Microsoft to actually have this. And I'm very interested in seeing how many people will actually adopt this. How many people will want to play with mouse and keyboard on their console, because we know that this isn't new to consoles. We know that this stuff goes all the way back to the Dreamcast, back in 99 when the Dreamcast had a keyboard. I actually bought the keyboard and never really used it for anything, but we know we're in a whole different time and age. That was almost 20 years ago, and these consoles are becoming more PC-esque every single, iteration that comes out. So, using x86 architecture and all of that stuff. So, it's not that big of a difference. But I am interested in seeing how well this does. At $250, that's a little steep, but as far as I know, these kind of things that Razer makes, these keyboards, they are never cheap, these mouse and keyboards. So they also said that it had like 1 million different colors or something like that, and it was a mechanical keyboard, something like that. I don't know, man. Look, man, I'm a noob when it comes to this PC stuff. But anyway, moving on to the final news story of the year for the Analog Circle podcast. Now, this next story, like I've been saying this whole time, now I need y'all to take this with a humongous doggone mustard seed of hope. Now, according to a Amazon Italy listing, they are showing that The Last of Us Part 2 is allegedly going to release March 29th, 2019. What the frick? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I can see this happening. But I have to say this, man. As crazy as March 29th, 2019 sounds, I gotta tell you guys that, it was, let me see if I can find it. Naughty Dog did say that the game was 60% done in December of 2017 during the panel at PSX. Neil Druckmann, he actually said, and I quote, I got his quote, he said, what he said was, we've handed off a bunch of levels. There's a bunch of stuff being worked on. We're like 50 to 60% done. End of quote. So you figure another year, a year later, you gotta be, good grief. If you were 50 to 60% done a year ago, you gotta be teeter-tottering on a 70, 75-ish type of, percentage done. So if they were to say March, like I said, I don't think that's going to happen because it doesn't make sense as far as titles coming out, because I believe Days Gone got pushed till March. So I don't think Sony would want to bring out 2 different games at one time, especially not The Last of Us 2. Those 2 games are so close to each other, to the same style of game. I don't think Sony would want to have a brand new IP get overshadowed. It would get entirely overshadowed by The Last of Us, because nobody, I mean, even as it stands, I'm going to buy Days Gone. I think that game looks great. I'm very, very interested in it. I love the fact that it's a new IP, and I want to show some support for it. But not everybody feels that way. Not everybody, but a lot of people would say, why would I get a copycat version of a game that's already out now that I really want to play? So I don't think March 2019 is, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do believe that sometime in 2019, The Last of Us 2 will release. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. And as always, I need you guys to stay tuned because we're going to get into the final section of the podcast right after this week's video game theater. Stay tuned, guys.
Maris, gather your belongings and go into hiding, just as we've practiced. Do not return until I summon you.
But Master, this is what I've been waiting for. Let me fight!
No. I will lead this assassin to the ancient abyss alone. You are not ready to face a Sith. You would surely be killed. Maris, we are among the last of the Jedi. While we live, the Order survives. I cannot allow you to be captured or killed by the Empire. Now please, go to the graveyard and wait for my summons. No, she hasn't been corrupted. Not yet. She's just afraid. May the Force be with you, Maris Brood. You are Vader's slave, but your power is wasted with him. You could be so much more.
You will never convince me to betray my master.
Poor boy. The Sith always betray one another. But I'm sure you'll learn that soon enough.
And welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We are in the final section of the podcast where I ask you, the great listener out there that you are, a question of the week. And this week's question is, oh goodness, this only makes sense. Was 2018 a great year in gaming? Now, I have to say for me personally, I think this has been the absolute best year. I mean, one of the standout years in gaming, especially in this generation. Now, we've had games like, good grief, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out this year. Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out this year. What else? God of War, Detroit, Become Human, Spider-Man. Fist of the North Star came out this year. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't really want to rock with that game, but that game, if you are an anime fan of Fist of the North Star, that game is so right. And good grief, you could definitely say it's a pattern here. You could definitely say that a lot of these games that I'm naming are PlayStation 4 games, and you would be right. You would be absolutely right. But nonetheless, for me personally, as a gamer, Tomb Raider came out this year. I would say that yes, this has been among one of the best gaming years ever. Who would have thought that a Spider-Man game could be great? Who would have thought that a few years ago? That I don't need to repeat it. Who would have thought God of War would have came out as great as it did? Detroit Become Human selling 2 million copies. And not even half the time. I mean, good grief, far less time than it took for Heavy Rain to move the units that it did. It has just been an absolute excellent time to be a gamer. Red Dead Redemption 2 being as great as it is, I don't know how anybody on any platform could complain about the games that we got this year. So I would absolutely love to get you guys' opinion on this, and you can reach out to the show if you want to be a part of this conversation. Like I say every week, 2 different ways, or every week that I record at least. You can reach out and call in at 443-216-9934 and leave a voicemail. It will definitely be played on the next podcast, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Guys, this is the last episode for the year, man. This is it. The last episode of the Analog Circle podcast for the year, but we will definitely be back next year. A lot better, a lot stronger, more guests. I'm sure of it. But until then, I hope you guys have a great, guys out there that do celebrate, have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy your time with your family and friends, and enjoy the time being off of work. Good gosh. It's a great time to spend it away from the job if you can, with your friends and family. So with that being said, guys, before we get out of here, always remember, it's not about the consoles, people. It's about the games. So with that being said, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.